DEESLIMDAOG. And Stay Solid is the movement. Praise be to the Most High. Yeah, we back with another one, man. Hey, I'm gonna tell y'all the story about Phoney Toney, the narcissist, man. Yeah, man, Phoney Toney, man, was somebody that I met in a little town, man, out of the metro, Columbia, South Carolina. It was a hot summer, man. You know, that summer right there was a pretty hot and a crazy ass summer, man. You know, the summer had started off crazy to begin with. But yet anyway, yeah, I met Phoney Toney, man. I met Phoney Toney in the shelter that I was staying in after my discard with the scheming demon. You know, I was kind of down on my luck. You know, really didn't have a whole lot of money to be paying in hotels every day. So why not go somewhere where I could stay, stack my little bread up and try to get back on my feet. But I met Phoney Toney, man. Yeah, Phoney Toney. We're going to call him Phoney Toney for sakes of the video sake. But I met Phoney Toney, man. And I thought Phoney Toney was a pretty cool dude. Yeah, he was a pretty cool dude, man. I'll never forget the day that I met him. You know, I was on my bunk. You know, never had been to a shelter a day in my life. You know, and matter of fact, I was there before Phoney Toney had even got there. So, you know, I was kind of already there, maybe like a couple of days before Phoney Toney even got there. But I was on my bunk one day, and I was talking to another guy, another cat. You know, we just shooting the shit back and forth, talking about life. Conversation came up about death. And, you know, I started talking about my mom, you know. And, you know, Phoney Toney, you know, instantly gravitated to me right then. It was like, damn, man, you got a strong mind, you know, you so strong, you know, this, that, and that. And I remind y'all now, I wasn't thinking like that right at the time, but I kind of was thinking like that. I was like, man, this ninja trying to gaslight me. Yeah, this ninja trying to, like, what he on? He D-riding. You know, he trying to get up under me. But, you know, it is what it is. But, yeah, man, you know, but anyway, you know, me and Phoney Toney, you know, we got to know each other a little bit, man. You know, after that conversation, you know, we talked, you know, he talked a little bit about his family, told me about a little bit about his life, you know, told me about his situation. You know, I told him why I was there. You know, we went to dinner. So, you know, we talked our shit, we popped it, you know. So, you know, a couple of days go by. You know, I see Phoney Toney one morning. You know, he asked me, you know, what I'm up to. You know, I'm trying to find a job, bro. Just trying to get to the money. You know, me and Phoney Toney, we both kind of fucked up. You know, down on our luck. You know, let me see what's up with this ninja. You know, that's how I'm thinking about it. You dig what I'm saying? But as the weeks pass by, you know, me and Phoney Toney, man, we get tight as some leggings on a project hole. You know, you can't tell me and Phoney Toney shit now. You know, me and Phoney Toney, we really running things now. You know, me, you know, I'm thinking that, damn, you know, maybe bro might be all right. You know, but anyway, you know, Phoney Toney really didn't have a lot of clothes, man. By the way, you know, Phoney Toney didn't have a lot of clothes. You know, Phoney Toney didn't have a lot of money, but you know, good-hearted me, you know, trying to be a real brother, a real G. You know, I broke bread with Phoney Toney, man. That's what the real ones do. You know, when you real, man, and you got something, and you see your brother down, or you see your sister or a person in your family down, you know, we try to lift them up, and we try to help them. So, man, I let Phoney Toney rock my shit, man. You know, I let Phoney Toney rock my pants, my shoes. I mean, some real shit that I ain't really did for somebody in a long time, man. But anyway, I did that for Phoney Toney, man. But, you know, it was something strange about Phoney Toney, man. Yeah, it was something strange about Phoney Toney, man. Just the way his eyes used to just look. You know, but I just really couldn't put my finger on what was really going on with Phoney Toney. But, you know, he had these beady black ass eyes, man, that glossy ass eyes, man. Now, what I know is that narcissistic rage, you know. And remind you now, Phoney Toney done been to the pen for 10 years for, I think, doing bodily with intent to harm or some shit like that. But, you know, he been down that road before, man. But anyway, Phoney Toney, man, You know, he would just always do weird shit, yo. He would go missing, yo, at the strangest times, man. Yeah, he would just go missing or go hiding at the strangest times, man. You know, that was quite weird to me, yo. And I was just like, you know, and a person like me, you know, I'm kind of like, damn, you know, if you my partner, you my friend, you know, you get lost and shit, you know. And the reason why I'm saying this, because he would always go to get lost when it was time for us to go do something important, man. Yeah. But one day now, maybe about like 9 o'clock one morning, you know, me and Phoney Toney got up after breakfast. You know, you at the center of the shelter, you know, y'all eat breakfast, you got to get out, you got to go try to find your job for the day, or whatever it is you got to do to, you know, get your day started. But you can't stay in there all day if you've never been to a shelter. But anyway, one day, man, about 9 a.m. one morning, you know, kind of chilly in the morning and shit, I'm going to get my coffee. You know, you got to have that morning coffee. You know, me and Phoney Toney was walking, man. We was walking down the block. And me and Phoney Toney, we ran into this crackhead. You know, everybody got a crackhead in their neighborhood that they know. So Phoney Toney ran into this crackhead now. And remind you now, me and Phoney Toney, we new to this city. Neither one of us don't know nobody in this town, really. But it seemed like Phoney Toney and this crackhead was very well acquainted, yo. Like, they pretty much knew each other, you know. And I'm from the street. So I'm like, damn, you know, they chopping it up like they know each other or something, man. But the crackhead asked Phoney Toney for a cigarette. You know, I'm thinking nothing about it. You know, maybe he just want to smoke or something. But I still knew and thought it was something still strange and funny about Phoney Toney. Because, you know, they say, you know, birds of a feather flock together. So, you know, I'm still on my ish. I'm thinking in my mind, you know, it's something funny about the guy, but I'm gonna play the game how it go. So that's what I did. But I turned my back, man. And when I say I turned my back for maybe a millisecond. You know how sometimes you might turn your head just for like a second and you see something out the corner of your eye? Yeah, so that's what I did. I kind of turned my head, and out the corner of my eye, I seen something go, choo! And I tried to pretend I didn't see what I thought I saw, but I did see what I thought I saw. Yeah, Phoney Toney was handing the crackhead some money. So I'm thinking, like, Phoney Toney don't never have no money. Yeah, where the hell Phoney Toney get some money from, man? But let me build my case, though. So, you know, I ain't thinking nothing really of it, you know. So guess what? The day goes on. You know, me and Phoney Toney proceed to get on the bus to go do what we do. You know, we go ready to go eat our dinner, you know, sit down, kick it at night. It's been a long ass day, but I still got this on my dome, man. So I'm thinking to myself still, man, I just know some shit ain't right, man, with him. It's something ain't right about this ninja. But I'm watching him though. You know, you know. And one thing about Phoney Toney, man, he was always, you know, trying to D-ride. See, I could say that now. Back then I couldn't say that because I thought the shit was real. I thought the relationship was authentic. I thought he was being pure, but that wasn't the case. But anyway, you know, a couple months go by, right? Maybe like 3 months go by. Starting to get a little chilly. November, some shit like that around the Thanksgiving, you know, something like that. Me and Phoney Toney don't got pretty tight, man. We rocking every day. You know, we hanging out every day. We doing our shit every day. Everybody, when you see me, you see Phoney Toney. When you see Phoney Toney, you see me. But it's still one problem. I still don't really trust Phoney Toney, man. Phoney Toney still doing weird shit, man. But Phoney Toney, he meet this 304. Yeah, that's right. Phoney Toney, man. Yeah, man. Phoney Toney meet this 304 on a dating site. Yeah, and they start to kick it. So I'm feeling good. Okay, you know, maybe he is a normal ninja, man. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I'm looking into the situation too deep. So, you know, Phoney Toney began to date the little mama for a while. You know, all like that. And then one day, Phoney Toney come to me like tripping. Bro, I hate these 304s, bro. I can't stand these 304s, bro. They ain't nothing but a narcissist, bro. I can't trust that demon, bro. So I'm hearing bro out. But like I know, every story got 3 sides. His side, her side, and the truth. So as Phoney Toney began to calm down, man, he tell me what happened. Phoney Toney, he done jumped on the girl, man. Yeah, Phoney Toney done jumped on the girl and done cussed the girl out. He done blew the play. Yeah, Phoney Toney done fucked it all up, man. Phoney done went over there and just went off on the girl, man. Just cussed the girl out, fighting the girl, calling her out her name, said his anxiety was through the roof. And I told y'all, I knew it was something strange about that ninja, man. I knew it was something strange about that ninja. So, anyway, come to find out that Phoney Toney was really low-key a woman beater, man. Yeah, he was a woman beater. I told y'all Phoney Toney was on some weird ish, man. And he would continue to try to gaslight me. He would keep doing things, man, to try to gaslight me and to try to manipulate me and to convince me that it was always her and never him. Yeah, man, remember now, that's what the narcissists do. So I'm peeping the play. I'm watching the play. So, okay, that's strike one. Okay, so after that happened, Phoney Toney comes to me, man, one morning. Phoney Toney didn't make curfew. Now, I remind you now, if you're in the shelter and you're in any type of program, you can't spend the night out. The only time you can stay out is you working. And remind you now, Phoney Toney don't got no job. So Phoney Toney didn't come in one night. Now, as me being a good friend, I'm kind of worried about Phoney Toney because I know Phoney Toney don't got nobody and Phoney Toney don't got no money. So I'm walking with another friend. We walking, going to get some coffee one early morning. It's getting kind of chilly. Got to go to Mickey D's to get the hash brown and the coffee. Yeah, we just walking, scrolling, minding our business. Who do we see at the bus station? Phoney Toney. Yeah, we see Phoney Toney. I begin to approach Phoney Toney. What's going on with you, bro? And instantly in my mind, I just say, this ninja about to lie to me. Have you ever just looked at somebody, right? And you just already felt that they finna lie to you, or they finna tell you the most crazy story that you ever heard? Phoney Toney told me the craziest shit I ever heard, man. But Phoney Toney told me his mama died. Yeah, man, Phoney Toney told me his mama died, but the craziest thing about it is I didn't believe it. Yeah, man, I didn't believe him. He told me that it was just something about the way he told me because my mama died. I was so hysterical, right? I couldn't talk to nobody about the situation. I didn't even want to talk to nobody, but he was just real too calm, cool, and collected. I said, yo, it's some weird ish going on with Phoney Toney, man. Yeah, it's some weird ish going on with Phoney Toney, man. So, that's incident number 2. I kept that in the back of my memory bank, man. So we're gonna fast forward a little bit. Maybe 3 more months on down the road, right? Life is good. I'm looking up, we getting money. Phoney Toney still ain't really got a whole lot of going on, but Phoney Toney is still around me. Phoney Toney is still watching me. Yeah, matter of fact, Phoney Toney is wearing my clothes and shit. Phoney Toney is talking like me. And I'm peeping this and I'm like, damn, well, okay, maybe he remind me and stuff like that, but I'm seeing Phoney Toney is really trying to be me. But I'm noticing why he trying to be me. He don't really like hanging around me, and he like being me. I put it like this: people would call me and tell me they seen him, and he would say that he didn't know where I was at or he haven't seen me. And that was real. That was some weird ish to me. Why would he be doing that? But all it was is Phoney Toney was trying to be me. Yeah, Phoney Toney was really trying to take my place, man. He really was. But check it out, man. After Phoney Toney told me, everything that was going on, Phoney Toney admitted to me. Phoney Toney had a secret, y'all. Yeah, after he said his mama died and, things just getting out of hand, Phoney Toney told me he had a secret. And Phoney Toney was like, bro, I gotta tell you something. And I'm like, okay, I'm thinking he gonna just come out and tell me the truth about his mom, but Phoney Toney tell me he got a crack habit and a meth habit. Remember now, I told y'all now, it was some weird ish going on with Phoney Toney, man. So right now, I know that I can't trust Phoney Toney no more. I know I can't trust. I can't listen. Stony, now I know Phoney Toney, man, is still the goddamn, hey, man, listen, Toney, he'll steal anything. So now I know I can't trust him. I know he smoked out. I know he playing crackhead games. Now I know I really can't rock out with him, man. And now I'm feeling some type of way about Phoney Toney, man. I really want to put hands on Phoney Toney, to be honest with you. Because now I'm feeling played. I feel like Phoney Toney had a lot going on, and he was trying to manipulate me and play with me the whole time, man. But here's when the problem really started, y'all. Here's when I really knew that Phoney Toney was for real a demon and a narcissist. Phoney Toney met somebody else, man. Yeah, Phoney Toney met another female. But this time, Phoney Toney did the ultimate. Yeah, she gave Phoney Toney the food stamp card one night to go get them something to eat. I guess they was hungry, needed food, needed something to drink, what have we have not. But she trusted Phoney Toney, man. You know, and Phoney Toney was he's not an ugly guy. You know, Phoney Toney got all his teeth. You know, Phoney Toney got nice wavy hair. He very charming. Yeah. So, but Phoney Toney was wearing a mask. But anyway, she gave Phoney Toney her food stamp card, man, to go make a play. And for y'all don't know what that means, he was going to take the food stamp card to go sell it to get some money and bring her the money back. But guess what? Phoney Toney didn't come home. Yeah, Phoney Toney didn't come home, man. Phoney Toney was gone all night. I mean, all night Phoney Toney was gone. How you know, OG? Because Phoney Toney, girl was calling my phone all night. Now, Phoney Toney didn't even have a fucking cell phone. I told y'all Phoney Toney had some weird issue going on. You know, it's 2025, 2024. You're supposed to have a damn cell phone. But she calling Toney phone all night. Phoney Toney phone. Phoney Toney ain't picking up. So now she blowing up the OG. Bling! 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 Hey, your brother got my food stamp card. If your brother don't come over here with my food stamp card, I'm gonna put the police on your brother. Bling! 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 Yeah, if your brother don't come with my food stamp card, I'm gonna get some ninjas to come over there and kill your brother. So I'm like, hey, look, shawty. I don't know what y'all got going on, right? But evidently, and you know, this me knowing Phoney Toney. I know Phoney Toney out somewhere getting high. Yeah. I know Phoney Toney out somewhere drinking, somewhere out getting high. But here's the thing, though. She don't know Phoney Toney get high. And it ain't my place to tell her Phoney Toney get high. But I knew that this had to be the last straw with me and Phoney Toney. Because if I knew if Phoney Toney was faking with her, and if Phoney Toney would steal from her, then he would steal from me. And I know if Phoney Toney would he was stealing from all these other females and lying to them and telling them how much he loved them when he meet them with not even knowing them a week. I knew that it was a problem with Phoney Toney, and Phoney Toney really was on demon time, and Phoney Toney was a manipulator. But she kept calling my phone, man, fast forward. And to the point I just got kind of upset with her, and I gave her a piece of my mind. And she told me something. She said, you know what? You think Phoney Toney so real? Phoney Toney don't do nothing but talk behind your back. Yeah, Phoney Toney said, oh, y'all jealous of him. And I was like, I be damned. Yeah. So the next morning came, man, and Phoney Toney called my phone, man. Phoney Toney called my phone. I said, hey, Phoney Toney, we need to sit down and talk. So Phoney Toney agreed to meet me one morning, and we met up at the McDonald's. So Phoney Toney came. But Phoney Toney didn't know this. The female that Phoney Toney had jacked for the card met me at McDonald's too, out of the blue. When I got to McDonald's, she was at McDonald's. I'm like, damn, what's really going on? See, these monitoring spirits, man, I ain't had nothing to do with this, didn't want nothing to do with this, not at all. But when I got to McDonald's, she was at the McDonald's. We're in the process of Phoney Toney posed to meet me. So Phoney Toney get to the McDonald's. We sitting, chilling, me and a couple more guys. Phoney Toney gonna come in here on demon time and want to show his ass. Phoney Toney gonna come in here and pretend that I don't know that he getting high off crack and meth now. Yeah, Phoney Toney gonna come in here and try to act real crazy on me playing crackhead games. So I confronted Phoney Toney. Phoney Toney didn't have the food stamp card, or Phoney Toney didn't have the money. And that day, it showed me, man, that sometimes you got to stop giving people the benefit of the doubt, man, when God don't show you and he don't pull the mask off who people truly really is. But that day, man, I almost put hands on Phoney Toney, man. You know, not that he was talking behind my back, not because he took the money from her. It because Phoney Toney know how I feel about disloyal people and how I feel about narcissists. And Phoney Toney tried to play me, bro. Yeah. I took Phoney Toney in. I gave Phoney Toney money. I gave Phoney Toney a good word. And Phoney Toney was trying to steal my identity. Phoney Toney was trying to steal my swag, man. He played me, you know what I mean, like I was a PlayStation or Xbox. At least he tried. But really all Phoney Toney did was block his blessing. Yeah, that's all he did, man. You know, Phoney Toney just cut off the hand that was trying to feed him, man. Yeah. But with that being said, man, you know, that day, I almost put hands on Phoney Toney, man. And I told Phoney Toney, you a narcissist, bro. You really on demon time. And if you want to be cool with me, bro, you got to go to rehab and you got to get your shit together, man. Yeah. Yeah, man, I thought Phoney Toney was real. But Phoney Toney was really rocking the mask, bro. Phoney Toney was a pretender, man, and he was a fake. So the moral of the story is, man, you gotta believe people, man, when they show you who they is, man. Because if you not, you might end up with a Phoney Toney. Until the next time, knowledge is power. Stay solid is the movement. Stay solid, stay blessed. Peace and shalom. And I'm going to catch y'all on the next one. We out.